6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The new president will take oaths tomorrow. The newly elected president invites all parties in parliament to work together to fulfill aspirations of the people. MP Dallas Alhapirma says overcoming the crisis should be the first and foremost task of the parliament members. MP Anurukumara Dissanayake points out the need to work according to the wishes of the people. The Indian High Commission reiterates that India supports realization of aspirations of the Sri Lankans. The International Monetary Fund hopes to complete rescue talks with Sri Lanka. Foreign news, President Putin warns Europe that gas deliveries could keep dwindling. Sports, cricket, Pakistan wins the first test by 4 wickets against Sri Lanka. News in detail. Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is to be sworn in as Sri Lanka's 8th executive president at the parliamentary complex tomorrow morning. Sri Lanka Parliament today voted acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe as the next president of the country. He polled 134 out of 219 valid votes. The other candidates, MP Dallas Alhapirma received 82 votes, while MP Anurukumara Dissanayake obtained 3 votes. The newly elected President Ranil Wickremesinghe invited all parties in the parliament, including the opposition, to work together on a new strategy fulfilling the aspirations of the people. After he was elected as the president by a majority of votes in parliament, he expressed his gratitude to the fellow presidential candidates, MPs Dallas Alhapirma and Anurukumara Dissanayake. Mr. Wickremesinghe stated that he has been in the parliament for 45 years. He invited all parties in the parliament, including the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, to work together on a new strategy fulfilling the aspirations of the people. He also requested the Tamil political parties, including the Tamil National Alliance, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, as a leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and former President and SLFP leader Maithripala Sirisena to join them in working together. Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe also made a request to allow him take oaths as the President within the Parliament premises. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. MP Dallas Alhapirma says he decided to vie for the presidency to end the deep-rooted corrupt political culture in the country. Addressing the parliament following the elections, he said, his political culture has paved the way for constitutional amendments that prioritize personal and political party agendas instead of a national agenda and betrayed people's sovereignty. MP Alhapirma termed his defeat as an encouraging guidance. The parliamentarian said he only wished to establish a practical, consensual government for the first time in the country's history. He said by setting aside racial and religious divide, political parties united to support him in the election. He stressed that at the moment, overcoming the crisis situation in the country should be the first and foremost task of the parliamentary members. MP Anurukumara Dissanayake pointed out the need to work according to the wishes of the people. He emphasized that people should be given the opportunity to express their opinions. The leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, said, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a leader who can honour his responsibilities. He said that Parliament has reflected the decision of the people today. He said it has become possible to maintain and take forward democratic traditions. The opposition leader Sajith Premadasa emphasized the need to work according to a democratic framework. He said law of the land should prevail instead of law of the jungle. The Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene thanked the members for coming forward to protect democracy. He said that all should work together to pass one of the most difficult chapters in the country's history. The Indian High Commission in Colombo says that they have seen baseless and purely speculative media reports about efforts at political level from India to influence political leaders in Sri Lanka regarding elections in the Sri Lankan Parliament to the post of the President of Sri Lanka. It has categorically denied these media reports as completely false. The Indian High Commission reiterated that India supports the realization of aspirations of the people of Sri Lanka in accordance with democratic means and values, established institutions, as well as constitutional provisions, and doesn't interfere in internal affairs and democratic processes of another country. The Minister of Defence, as the chair of the National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force of Sri Lanka, says that the Trafficking in Persons Report 2022, released on 19th July by the United States Department of State, has upgraded Sri Lanka to Tier 2. The Trafficking in Persons Report, prepared as required by the U.S. Trafficking Victims Protection Act, is termed as the U.S. government's principal diplomatic tool to engage foreign governments on human trafficking. The U.S. Department of State, while observing that the government of Sri Lanka does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking required to be placed in Tier 1, has recognized that the country is making significant efforts to do so. The Ministry of Education says that schools will reopen on July 25th, Monday, and learning in schools will be limited to 3 days a week until further notice. Accordingly, school will be held during normal school hours on Monday, Tuesday and Thursday until further notice. Meanwhile, on Wednesday and Friday, when schools are not held, students should be given learning activities to be done from home, or teaching should be carried out online. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In the main news story, Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, said today the International Monetary Fund hopes to complete rescue talks with Sri Lanka as quickly as possible. Speaking with Nikkei Asia in Tokyo, Georgieva said the fund was very deeply concerned about the well-being of the people of Sri Lanka. She vowed that the moment there is a government that can continue discussions with them, their team will be there. She added that she was very hopeful that based on the good technical work that have already been done and the fact that the technical team of Sri Lanka is there, they can complete program negotiations as quickly as possible. And that was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in Watchlight this evening, police say that crocodile sightings have been reported in many tanks in the country. They said 2 children have been attacked by crocodiles at Kandalama and Kathragama. One of them has died following the attack. Therefore, police requested the public to be cautious when bathing in tanks. And that was Watchlight. Moving on to a bulletin of world news, in the headlines, President Putin warns Europe that gas deliveries could keep dwindling. Iran's supreme leader tells Russian president that NATO would have eventually started Ukraine war. MPs are to hold final vote before runoff for Tory leadership. World news in detail. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said the flow of Russian natural gas to Europe customers has dwindled due to the West's own fault and warned that it could continue receding. Mr. Putin's statement further cranked up pressure on the European Union, which fears Russia could cut off gas to wreak economic and political havoc in Europe in the winter. Today, the bloc will outline emergency plans to reduce gas demand. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has told Russia's President Vladimir Putin that had he not started the war in Ukraine, NATO would have done it eventually. He said the West is opposed to a strong and independent Russia. He added NATO would know no bounds if the way was open to it, and if it was not stopped in Ukraine, it would start the same war using Crimea as an excuse. Tory MPs are to vote for the last time to decide which 2 leadership candidates should go through to the runoff vote among party members. Only Rishi Sunak, Penny Mordaunt and Liz Truss remain in the race. Mr. Mr. Sunak is still the front runner, while Miss Mordaunt and Miss Truss vying for the second spot in the final round. Conservative Party members will vote over the summer, with a result to be announced on 5th September. Back to the headlines of the world news. President Putin warns Europe that gas deliveries could keep dwindling. Iran's supreme leader tells Russian president that NATO would have eventually started war in Ukraine. MPs are to hold final vote before runoff for Tory leadership. And that ends world news. Moving on to development news, Sri Lanka's presented its second voluntary national review on the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs on Friday at the high-level political forum convened under the auspices of the United Nations Economic and Social Council in New York. It was noted that despite the economic constraint currently faced, Sri Lanka has made significant progress in achieving the SDGs compared to the countries in the region. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
In cricket news, Pakistan won the first test by 4 wickets against Sri Lanka at the Galle International Cricket Stadium today. Batting first, Sri Lanka scored 222 in their first innings and 337 in their second innings. Pakistan scored 218 in their first innings and 344 for 6 wickets in the second innings. Abdullah Shafiq was not out on 160 and Babar Azam scored 50 for Pakistan. Prabhat Jayasuriya took 4 wickets for Sri Lanka. Swimming news, Australian swimmer and Commonwealth Games gold medal favourite Isaac Cooper has been ruled out of the competition for disciplinary reasons. Swimming Australia announced the 18-year-old will not compete following some well-being challenges, including the use of medication. Cooper was the top-ranked backstroker due to compete at the Games in Birmingham, which starts on 28th of July. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Demo, through its agricultural arm Demo Agri-Businesses, recently introduced the first and only paddy transplanting machine in the country named Pelabatta. Demo has always been in the forefront of introducing innovative and affordable agricultural machinery to the local farming community with the aim of driving mechanization in the agricultural sector of the nation. And that was business news.
Business news sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, oil rose slightly yesterday, paring earlier losses and after soaring by more than $5 a barrel in the previous session amid concerns about tight supply. Brent crude futures for September settlement gained 17 cents to $106.51 a barrel. The contract rose 5.1% on Monday, the biggest percentage gain since April 12. WTI crude futures for August delivery rose by 36 cents to $102.96 a barrel. And that was economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In the weather report, the Met Department says cloudy sky is expected in the southern half of the island. Several spells of showers will occur in the western and Sabragama provinces and in the Galle and Matra districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere during the afternoon or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places. Strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in Galle and Matra districts. And that was the weather report. And to conclude this evening's news broadcast, the headlines again. The new president will take oaths tomorrow. Newly elected president invites all parties in parliament to work together to fulfill aspirations of the people. MP Dallas Alhapirma says overcoming the crisis should be the first and foremost task of the parliament members. MP Anurakumara Dissanayake points out the need to work according to the wishes of the people. The Indian High Commission reiterates that India supports realization of aspirations of Sri Lankans. The International Monetary Fund hopes to complete rescue talks with Sri Lanka. Foreign news, President Putin warns Europe that gas deliveries could keep dwindling. Sports cricket, Pakistan win the first test by 4 wickets against Sri Lanka. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.